Story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Ebulomo Adekunle. In our major story, countdown to change of baton in Ekiti as outgoing Governor Kayode Fayemi is set to hand over to incoming Governor Ayodele Fayose. Also in this program, Nigeria's former military leader Muhammadu Buhari declares presidential interest on the platform of All Progressives Congress ahead 2015. Seven ministers quit President Goodluck Jonathan's cabinet to seek governorship tickets. And outside Nigeria, United States seeks 132 passengers who flew on same flight with Ebola-positive nurse. And now the details. The people of Ekiti State are in expectant mood for the swearing-in of a new government come Thursday as preparations are in top gear on both sides of the political divide for a smooth transition process. In his pattern message to the people, outgoing Governor Kayode Fayemi lifted the over 2 weeks old curfew and urged them to live in peace with one another. For his part, the incoming Governor Ayodele Fayose warns that all plans to frustrate his swearing-in will fail. Rashid, who has been monitoring developments in Ado-Ekiti, filed in this report.
Ekiti State has been in the news more than ever before, not only to the change of guard at the helms of affairs of the state, but also because of a series of events which has shattered the hitherto peaceful atmosphere of the state. With the much-awaited transition of government around the corner, and the lifting of the curfew which has been in place due to the violence that has been witnessed over some weeks, and the reopening order on courts by the Chief Judge of Ekiti State, Ayodele Mola, which has succeeded in reducing the tension in the air, and the validatory executive session, it is clear to all that the Kayode Fayemi administration is indeed ready for the change of baton.
In the spirit of transition, and in the light of the relative peace that has endured in the state capital, I hereby announce the lifting of the curfew hitherto imposed on the capital, based on the advice of our security agencies.
Governor-elect Ayodele Fayose and his supporters are not left out as they are all in jubilant mood in expectation of his return to office as Ekiti State Governor. Fayose, however, says it's been a difficult battle as efforts were made to scuttle his swearing-in.
It is strange. This is the first time in Nigeria that I would see or hear that there will be a governor-elect when INEC must have fulfilled his constitutional duties, and you are looking for all backdoor arrangements to stop the governor-elect. It will fail. It has failed, and it will continue to fail.
The events of the past weeks are, however, pointed to the unpredictable nature of the state, with both sides of the divide still spoiling for war, even as the swearing-in looms.
The people of Ekiti they've spoken, and the wishes and what they have expressed through the ballot paper will be made manifest. And that inauguration will take place on Thursday, as scheduled.
There is an ever-present danger that threatens to overwhelm us. It is dark and foul because it upholds our progress and good condition. The one must not become the land of desecration.
But in spite of the differences, Both sides seem set for the change of baton.
This light may flicker for a season, but I am convinced its flame will never be extinguished, for it is the flame of human decency, it is the flame of justice, and it's the flame of compassion.
To go and dress properly, decently, beautifully, because they are beautifully made, and come to the stadium as early as 7 a.m. on Thursday to see the glory of God manifest.
With the handing over a few hours away, the people of Ekiti seem prepared for another 4 years of a new era under Ayo Fayose as their governor. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
One of Nigeria's leading opposition figures, Muhammadu Buhari, on Wednesday declared his intention to run for the presidency on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. In a brief speech at the Eagle Square in Abuja, Buhari promised to tackle the lingering insurgency, create jobs for the youths, improve power supply and tackle corruption in all areas. He also implored party members to give him their support during the APC elective convention to enable him fulfill his promise to Nigerians. At least 4 state governors, including Babatunde Fashola, Rotimi Amechi and Adams Oshomole, showed up at the declaration. Pai Samuel has the details.
It looks like a football match is about to take place here. But this is a political gathering for Muhammadu Buhari to declare his ambition to be the man to again challenge President Goodluck Jonathan. Group after group danced their hearts out in support of the former head of state. 4 state governors attended the event. And speaking on behalf of his colleagues, Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi says the ruling party has not lived up to expectation. This, according to him, is why APC has come as an alternative to take Nigeria to the promised land.
APC provides an alternative for the country. We are tested, and we have not, and we will never disappoint Nigeria. For us as APC, we will line up behind the party. Go back home now and get your voters. Go back home and do what? Go back home and do what? Get your voters card.
And when it was time for the general to make his declaration, the atmosphere around the venue changed. Now, the general is set to make a formal declaration. Bothered about the state of the nation, Buhari says he will wipe out corruption, tackle insurgency, and create jobs for the youths.
We in APC are resolved to bring change to Nigeria. We plan to do things differently. We plan to put priority on 1, protection of lives and property. 2, pursuing economic policies for shared prosperity and immediate attention on youth employment. Quality education for development, modernity, and social mobility. Fourthly, agricultural productivity for taking millions out of poverty and ensuring food security.
But the former head of state knows that he has a battle on his hand to get his party's nod for next year's presidential election, and he didn't hesitate to seek the support of delegates to APC's convention. The former military head of state, General Muhammadu Buhari, has just declared his intention to run for the presidential primaries under the All Progressives Congress. For now, 2 candidates have indicated interest to run for the presidential primaries, talking about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and now joining the race is Alhaji Muhammadu Buhari. For now, political watchers will only wait and see what the results of the presidential primaries in the APC will be. And for who will emerge the presidential candidates, only time will tell. Pai Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Now the battle gets tougher. The presidency insists that President Goodluck Jonathan will be seeking re-election in 2015, contrary to an online report of a 10-year elongation plan. He also does not seem bothered that former head of state Muhammadu Buhari may pose a threat to the president's second-term ambition. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Donyo Kukwe, told State House correspondents that his principal is prepared to contest against those it described as serial failures.
That when you have a sitting president and he is interested in a rerun, usually he's given the first right, the first choice of refusal. And the president is here to make public his desire. But this news from Sahara reporters is absolutely untrue. It is falsehood, and we deny it in all its entirety. It is aimed at, is part of the calculated attempt by the opposition to try and throw everything into the arena to embarrass this president. They've done this for the past 4 years. It has not worked. It has not deterred him. He has remained, focused. He has kept his eye on the ball, and the transformation agenda, to the glory of God, has become a grand success. Their declaration, our participation, is not a threat to us. They have never won elections before. Somebody who has contested 4 times and failed 4 times, for instance, what is Buhari going to tell Nigerians now? What's the new thing? He was the former head of state, a military head of state, but that's all he has done. But since then and now, what is the new thing he has acquired? What is the new thing, the new story? You cannot compare I will do with I have done. It's not possible.
The Federal Executive Council has held a valedictory session for 7 ministers who are eyeing governorship positions in their respective states. At the session, President Goodluck Jonathan reeled out the names of ministers he expects to leave the cabinet before his October 20 deadline, even though none of them has turned in their resignation letters. He explained that the cabinet members, led by Information Minister Labaran Mako, have all informally indicated their interests to seek governorship seats.
7 of us may not be here next week, Wednesday, to continue deliberation with us, if their plans continue. But we may not say they are not with us until they formally write to us through the Secretary of Government. As we are talking now, nobody has written, and we are not dropping anybody. So people should not say we have dropped ministers. No, we have not dropped any ministers. They are still members of council. But assuming between now and next Wednesday, if they decide to go on with their plans, then they may not be with us. It's only proper for us to at least wish them well, assuming we don't see them again. But if they change their minds, they will they will be with us. But after receiving the letter and they change their mind, it will be too late. So if they have to change their mind, they have to change their mind before sending the letter to the Secretary of Government. And so the following Honorable Minister of Information, Labaran Mako, may not be with us next Wednesday. Honorable Minister of Health, Professor Onyebuchi Chukwu, may not be with us. Honorable Minister of State Education, Barrister Ezenwo Nyesom Wike, may not be with us. Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Samuel Otom, may not be with us. Honorable Minister of Defense, Senator Musliu Olatunde Obanikoro, may not be with us. Honorable Minister of State Defense, Honorable Minister of State Niger Delta Affairs, Architect Darius Dixon Shaku, may not be with us. Then Honorable Minister of Labor and Productivity, Chief Emeka Wogo, may not be with us. I say may because they may change their mind.
All of us here who have been named by you as people who may not be here by Wednesday, owe God Almighty eternal gratitude for connecting us with you, which has led to our elevation to serve at this highest level of executive authority in our country. For me and Chukwu and a few others who have been here with you for the last 1.5 years in these hallowed chambers, going through all the experiences you have gone through as the leader of this country so far. Let me say on behalf of ourselves and our families, we thank you eternally for the confidence you repose in us and for choosing us among millions of Nigerians to support you in the capacities we have been in the last 1.5 years, some shorter than that. I mentioned something here last week when we were discussing the Ebola virus disease conquest by you and your leadership. That you may not be appreciated now, but sir, don't worry. A time is going to come when this country will celebrate you, because from all we have seen, the experiences we have gone through, and the talent you have shown as a leader, it is very, very clear that God brought you purposely to stabilize this country and to give us a new direction out of a crisis of several years.
President Goodluck Jonathan has frowned at the poor working relations between some ministers and permanent secretaries in the Federal Civil Service. He advised the officials to close ranks in order for the government to function properly. The president noted that the complaints of cold relationship between the political and administrative heads of the ministries, agencies and departments were too many to be ignored. Jonathan spoke while swearing in 6 new federal permanent secretaries before the commencement of the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja.
You've passed through the training process, and we believe very sincerely that you will do a very good job for the country. I think the key thing that people get worried about the civil service and government generally is the issue of discipline and impunity. These days, you hardly see a permanent secretary querying a director, or a director querying a assistant director querying a principal officer, or a principal officer querying a senior officers or officers. And in a system where there is no discipline, definitely you cannot get the best output. You can't assume that everybody will do the right thing. Filtration passes through a process, and we must be able to bring discipline to bear in the service if we must give our country the best. One of the other things is the ability of PAMSECs working with their ministers. Lately, we've received too many complaints about cool relationship between permanent secretaries and ministers. If permanent secretaries don't work with the ministers, ministers don't work with the permanent secretaries, there's no way we can do what we're expected to do.
Nigerian women have been charged to vie for political posts and stand as agents of peace and national development ahead the 2015 elections. Wife of the president, Patience Jonathan, gave the charge at the distribution of empowerment materials and commissioning of Women for Change and Development Initiative Secretariat in Ibadan, your state. Omotayalo has more.
The Lake Salami Stadium in Ibadan was filled to capacity with women in high attendance, as they are the major beneficiaries of the empowerment materials. In addition to over 300 women from 33 local governments that benefited, 4 tertiary institutions were also given bursaries. The president's wife also enjoined women to be instruments of change and be the backbone of support for their family by making good use of the empowerment materials.
Registration is at the door. Come out in mass and register. And vote yourself, women. Don't put another woman down. Love one another. Be united. Women, be agents of peace. Around you there should be peace. Your watchword should be peace, 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 peace. Your song should be peace. Wherever you are, peace. I have told you, I'm Mama Peace.
Wife of the Oyo State Governor, Florence Ajimobi, attested to the power of women in nation building while appreciating the president's wife for her kind gesture.
For us in Oyo State today, the concept of empowerment involves emotional and psychological empowerment, as well as physical and health empowerment, in addition to financial empowerment, in order to foster an all-round and well-balanced development of our women.
For the convener of the event, Olajumoke Akinjide, every government must henceforth see the need to give women a seat at the table of governance and economic activity in a bid to develop the nation.
In the society at large, through the Women for Change and Development Initiative, Your Excellency continues to raise awareness among every strata of Nigerian society of the need for gender parity, gender mainstreaming, and women empowerment.
These beneficiaries say they would put to good use the empowerment materials and reignite their participation in Nigerian politics.
We are very, very happy today. The way the mama did to us, we are very, very happy, because to buy this fertilizer before is very, very difficult for us. But now, we know we will enjoy her till 2015.
All our women will benefit from this empowerment, and they will use it wisely. And we are praying for our mama patients, Ebere, Jonathan, and our able minister, Oloye Jubake Akijide, for giving us this opportunity on this occasion. We are very, very happy.
President's wife also offered cash gifts to some women at the occasion, which threw them into wide jubilation. Even the organizers of the event deny its political undertone, its timing leaves very little doubt on the minds of political observers that the countdown to the politics of stomach infrastructure ahead of the 2015 election has started. Omotayo, CoreTV News, Ibadan.
The Adamawa State Governor Bala James Ngelari sworn in the newly appointed Secretary to the State Government, Ibrahim Andrew Welye, along the Acting Auditor General of the state. The ceremony, which was conducted by the Acting Chief Judge Ishaya Banu, attracted top government functionaries.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will be faithful.
That I will be faithful.
And bear true allegiance.
And bear true allegiance.
To the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
To the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And that I will preserve.
And that I will preserve.
Protect.
Protect.
And defend the Constitution.
And defend the Constitution.
Of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
1999 as amended.
1999 as amended.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Ngelari says the newly sworn-in stood by him through thick and thin, and that they deserve the appointments because they are proven professionals.
They are not only Adamawa State citizens, but they are Adamawa State citizens of whom we can always be proud at any time. I just speak for the heart of it. There are people I've known for quite some time now, particularly since I came here. There are men of character, integrity, and excellence. I've no doubt in my mind that each and every one of them is
In his response, the new secretary to the state government says the governor has shown so much confidence in their ability to deliver and promised to do everything possible to move the state forward.
A lot of faith in us, and that is what I'm afraid of. He believes that we can perform. For that, I will only say, may God help us to perform. His Excellency has a passion, a great passion for changing the lots of the people of Adamawa State.
Meanwhile, a political scientist at the University of Lagos, Dele Ashiru, has frowned at the reinstatement of the former acting governor of Adamawa State, Umar Fintiri, as the Speaker of the State House of Assembly. He described the development as barbaric and added that the development shows that Nigeria is operating a weak constitution.
I don't think that it is appropriate for Fintiri to remain as the Speaker of that Status of Assembly, because as it stands now, you know, it's an interested party, and if history is to serve us well, that house may never know peace until the end of this tenure. So it is my opinion that even if Fintiri is not tried, he doesn't have the moral rectitude to still remain in that office as the Speaker of that Status of Assembly, given the scenario that it has played out. I think that it is honorable for him to even resign. I mean, because if you take over the government of a state by subterfuge, and then the court says that what you have done is illegal and that they should revert to status quo ante, I don't think that it is in the interest of democracy for Fintiri to still remain as Speaker of that same Status of Assembly. And I think that, well, it is only the prayers that the lawyers put to the judges that they grant. Otherwise, it would have been part of the litigation that once Fintiri is removed as the acting governor or whatever he calls himself, he can no longer return to that assembly as the Speaker.
When we return from this timeout, House of Representatives endorses 70 new amendments to the 1999 Constitution. Join us for details.
As a doctor, I've seen lots of mothers. Now, I'm one myself. Other mothers have taught me things only a mother could know. But when it came to relieving their baby's pain and fever, many mothers don't know what to do. So I told them about Panadol Children. Panadol Children is fast and effective, and it can be taken from when they're 3 months old. I'm still learning to be a mother, and it's getting better every day. New Panadol Children, fast and effective relief from pain and fever.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe, and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes, and bleeding from the eyes, ears, and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water, or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces, or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees, or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Thank you for being there. And here is a quick reminder of some of our major stories. Countdown to change of baton in Ekiti as outgoing governor Kayode Fayemi is set to hand over to incoming governor Ayodele Fayose. Nigeria's former military leader, Muhammadu Buhari, declares presidential interest on the platform of All Progressives Congress ahead 2015. Seven ministers quit President Goodluck Jonathan's cabinet to seek governorship tickets. And you can also reach us on our social media platform on Facebook. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. On Twitter @CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, then news. The House of Representatives has endorsed 70 new amendments to the 1999 Constitution. This was after the conference report of a joint committee of the Senate and the House of Representatives was tabled for adoption. The motion was moved by Deputy Speaker Emeka Ihediowa, who doubles as the chairman, House Committee on Constitution Review, and unanimously adopted by the lawmakers. Out of the 261 members present in the chambers, 252 voted to adopt the report. 8 voted against, while 1 member abstained. Speaker Aminu Tambuwal, who presided over the session, observed that the House had met the constitutional requirement of a two-thirds majority of members needed to amend the Constitution. Nigerian authorities plan to honor soldiers involved in the ongoing war against insurgency at next year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebrations. Defense Minister Aliyu Gusau, who disclosed this at a news conference in Abuja, said it would be a special one because it coincided with the country's greatest security challenges in recent times. He explained that it would also provide an opportunity to reflect on the sacrifices made by military personnel for peace in the country.
Remembrance Day celebration 2015 with the theme Appreciating the Nigerian Armed Forces is a special one because it coincides with Nigeria's greatest security challenges in recent times. It is therefore appropriate to specially appreciate the commitment of our personnel that are paying the supreme price in confronting our security challenges so that we can live in peace. The contribution of the officers, men and the women of the armed forces towards the return of peace to troubled spots in our country cannot be overemphasized. The nation remains eternally grateful to these gallant Nigerians. The Remembrance Day period is therefore time to reach out to the loved ones the fallen heroes have left behind and those who have been incapacitated in order to contribute towards rehabilitating them. The federal government of Nigeria looks forward to our dear citizens in both public and the private sectors to appreciate the courage and the patriotism of these service personnel and support them generously.
The Federal Executive Council on Wednesday approved a contract worth 2.7 billion naira for the rehabilitation of some roads in the Federal Capital Territory. This was one of the decisions taken at this week's council meeting presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan. FCT Minister Bala Muhammad told journalists after the meeting that most of the roads listed for rehabilitation are located in Garki and Wuse districts.
My colleagues from the press, I am here to brief you on the outcome of today's Federal Executive Council. And I'm here with quite a number of colleagues from Council. To my far right is
the routes built in 1980 and 1981 in Wuse and Garki, which were giving way. And we just merely paced the project into two because of financial plan that we have, so that we'll be able to conclude them during the transformational period of Mr. President. It will interest you to know that the first phase that we have started in November 2012 is almost concluded. Some of you have seen it in Wuse and in Garki, and it is in consonance of that that we have given the second phase, which is costing 2.7 billion naira. The initial one was 2.5 billion naira, totaling 5.2 billion naira. And by the time we do that, we would have resurfaced all the roads in Garki and Wuse and would have given them a new lease of life that will last another 30 years. Thank you very much.
The Horn-Free Day slated for Wednesday by the Lagos government came to reality in major metropolis of the state. The exercise, which was part of measures to address the growing noise pollution in the metropolis, was received with mixed reactions from motorists and commercial motorcyclists. Olajumoke Olatuji reports, however, that the compliance level was high. Here is the report.
Work by the National Research Center states that noise levels produced on different sources at different times of the day are well over the levels set by the Environmental Protection Agency, and the noise pollution contributes to many health problems. The environmental experts put harmful noise levels 70 decibels and above, while the global standard for measuring noise puts 90 decibels at rather too high and harmful to human health. Against this backdrop, the Lagos government instituted a day without horn in the state. Many believe they are starting it in Lagos, which is dubbed a mini Nigeria of some sort, is a welcome development. Added to this, noise-generating industries, apparatuses and large volumes of vehicles and congestion of all sorts have become constant menace in the state, lending support for the initiative in some quarters. While some complied with the directives, others say it cannot work in a place like Lagos.
It's not good. I've already pressed on today because I can't do without pressing on because of the children that are going to school. Some motor will just stop unnecessarily on the road, even though some will even look away from the ongoing hold up that he's supposed to move until you horn for him before he could move.
Me, I don't like him because you know, say some people may be walking at road. At times they carry the way. If you cannot be able to horn for them, maybe you can jam the person. So
Suji Shotimiri, a theatre arts practitioner, applauded Lagos State government for the initiatives and wishes for a continuation in order to bring sanity.
It is a good beginning to begin to create that consciousness, that awareness in the minds of people. But you know, with everything in Nigeria, if there is no follow-up, if it's like you have a facility that you use all the time, the very first day that is inaugurated, you know, everybody says, oh, this is a laudable idea, and you abandon the idea, you don't follow up on maintenance. And that's my fear, really. And I praise the effort of, you know, the Lagos State administration for this, because I do not think that somebody else has introduced this type of idea.
Though reduction in noise pollution would clearly bring about a better and healthier life, observers say one day observance will not bring about the desired objective. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Lagos.
We'll take another break, and when we return, it will be business, sports, and other stories outside Nigeria. Don't go away.
Welcome you to From the Ivory Tower and happenings around the country. Varsity teachers get to air their views. Students are actually not left out. We bring you intellectual ends from the events happening around you. This is dedicated to educating the populace with a spice of entertainment.
From the Ivory Tower, Tuesdays, only on CoreTV News.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
And now to business. The World Bank has tasked the federal government to increase its fiscal buffers by raising the excess crude account ECA from $4.1 billion to $6.3 billion. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, made this disclosure at the end of the 2014 annual meeting in Washington, D.C. She said federal government is looking on how to strengthen the buffers. One of them is to get resources, which the government is not planning to do. Other options are revenue plans with the Federal Inland Revenue Services backed by the McKinsey to help to strengthen capacity to improve audits and plug leakages by targeting 75 billion naira. Although 44 billion naira was realized in July, the other is expenditure plans. However, with the uncertainty of the global economy and the drop in global oil price, the economy is expected to grow at 3.8% in 2015. In order for Nigeria terminals to compete favorably with other terminals in the world, the Nigerian Shippers Council, NSC, on Wednesday decided it will encourage the federal government to institute policies for trade facilitation in the maritime industry. Executive Secretary of NSC, Hassan Bello, made this statement at a third meeting held today with maritime operators on how to reduce human contact in cargo clearing at the ports. Furthermore, Bello said the meeting was to prepare the port for more trade and reduce the cost of doing business in Nigerian ports. Moreover, Nigerian ports operation needs automation to meet the dynamic trends in the international maritime operations. As such, the Nigeria Customs Services would need to improve on their work in automation, stressing that the government agency must provide leadership for the maritime sector. Equity transactions on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange on Wednesday ended on a negative note. The all-share index dipped by minus 1.93% to close at 39,278.47 basis points. Market capitalization depreciated in the same manner and closes at 12.96 trillion naira. In all, a total of 420 million shares valued at 4.6 billion naira were exchanged in 5,497 deals. Report shows that Forte Oil topped the gainers chart, followed by Zenith Bank, International Breweries, UPL, and Mansard. On the flip side, Nestle topped the chart, followed by Total, Nigeria Breweries, GlaxoSmithKline, and Cadbury. Meanwhile, here are the top 5 trades. And in the world of sports, Super Eagles of Nigeria today kept their 2015 Nations Cup hope alive with a convincing 3-1 victory over Sudan in Abuja. Ahmed Musa opens the scoring in the early minutes into the second half, but the Sudanese responded 7 minutes later after a poor defending from the Nigerian side. Newcomer Aaron Samuel puts Nigeria ahead before Ahmed Musa completed his brace. Nigeria now have 4 points from 4 games and will next hold leaders South Africa at home in October. Super Falcons head coach Edwin Okon on Tuesday commended his team for securing a semi-final place at the ongoing Africa Women Championship AWC in Namibia. The Super Falcons whitewashed Zambia's Chipolopolo 6-0 to cruise into the semi-finals. Desire Okparanozie scored a brace while Ngozi Okobi, Osinachi Ohale, Asizet Oshuala and veteran goal poacher Perpetua Unkocha also registered their names on the scorer sheet. A statement issued after the match by Gracious Akujobi, the team's media official, quoted Okon as saying that the aim was to win the trophy. And outside Nigeria, U.S. health officials are seeking 132 people who flew on a plane with a Texas nurse on the day before she came down with symptoms of Ebola. The nurse, the second person to catch Ebola in the U.S., became ill on Tuesday. Both she and nurse Nina Pham, 26, are treated Liberian Thomas Eric Duncan, who died on 8 October in Dallas. Meanwhile, the UN's Ebola mission chief says the world is falling behind in the race to contain the virus, which has killed more than 4,000 people in West Africa. On Wednesday, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, said it wanted to interview the passengers on Frontier Airlines Flight 1143 from Cleveland, Ohio to Dallas, Texas on 13 October. It said it was taking the measure because of the proximity in time between the evening flight and first report of illness the following morning. And just before we close the show tonight, here is a wrap-up of the stories that made our headlines. We told you that the countdown to change of baton in Ekiti is started as outgoing Governor Kayode Fayemi is set to hand over to incoming Governor Ayodele Fayoshe. We also brought you a report that Nigeria's former military leader, Muhammadu Buhari, has declared his presidential interest on the platform of All Progressives Congress ahead 2015. And finally, 7 ministers have resigned from President Goodluck Jonathan's cabinet to seek governorship tickets. That's been the show tonight. On behalf of our entire news crew, I am Ebuloma Dignley, wishing you a wonderful night rest.